Construction champions, it's your host, Ron Nussbaum, and we're here for another amazing episode of Construction Champions Podcast, where we're burning the house down twice a week, every Monday and Thursday. You can find myself here with amazing guests. And today is no different. We got another rock star guest that we're here to talk about what it takes to be a construction champion and change your life, change your business, change everything, and make you into that champion that you're meant to be. Patrick, it is great to have you here today.
Hey, thanks, Ron. I'm super pumped up to be here.
Awesome, man. Well, why don't you tell the champions out there a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I am the founder and CEO of a very small leadership development consulting firm. I'd probably say about 70% of the work I do is actually safety leadership focused, using a lot of my own stories and experiences from the military, and the rest is more of that general leadership. And I've been very, very fortunate to work with a lot of companies in the construction space, from the big names, the Turners, Skanskas, to small family-owned businesses and everything in between.
That's awesome, man. I'm excited for our conversation here today. From Marine to Army, we can agree to get along today.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. I'm going to dive right in there. I'm going to ask you the $1 million question, and that is, what makes a construction champion? Hey, construction champions. It's your host, Ron Nussbaum here, and I want to talk to you about how you can automate all of your marketing. We've had so many people on here talk about getting the systems in place. Well, we have partnered with Build 12 and Construction Champions podcast. Les O'Hara, the founder, what really excites me is his 30 years in the industry. And now he's built a system to be able to nurture your leads and continue to utilize that. I personally use the system myself. Build 12 is absolutely amazing. There's a lot of value in there, and it's a way to start getting away from Angie's List and all of that kind of stuff and start actually creating your own leads every day and have a system for them. So go on our website, check out the show notes, go check out Build 12 and what it can do for the front end of your business today. It's absolutely amazing. I highly recommend going and meeting with Les and his son, Devin, and talking to him about what they built for their own business, so the rest of the industry can take benefit from that. Here on Construction Champions, we're all about helping each other out. And what is better than contractors helping contractors? I say nothing. So let's go take this to the next level. Go check out Build 12. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Les or his son, Devin. We're here to help. We want to continue to grow the industry.
Yeah, I think we all look at it through a different lens as far as kind of where we come from in our own experiences. And for myself, a construction champion is not only that person that's very technically proficient in their job, but they've also got those leadership skills and behaviors that they can bring to it, right? I like to say we manage things, data, processes, equipment, schedules, projects, but you lead people. And when we can have somebody that can do both, that right there, in my opinion, is a construction champion.
Absolutely. And I'm excited to dive into this today because leadership, I think it's something in the construction we can just kind of gloss over. Like, it's an understanding that we need leadership, but we don't talk about it from the real core aspects of leadership. What makes great leaders? Why do people follow people? And like I said, yeah, it's just something that we are like, we need some leaders, but we just kind of gloss over it. Like it's a known, but it's not something I'm going to dive real heavy into.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I've noticed with the construction industry, there's a lot of parallels to the military, and I'd imagine you could be able to relate. The military, obviously, one of the most bureaucratic organizations out there, right? You wear your rank on your uniform every single day. Everybody knows exactly where you stand in that hierarchy of command. Much like maybe out on a construction project, we got different color hard hats, right? Designating maybe our engineers, our project managers, our superintendents, our foremen, whatever we're calling them. But yet in the military, you can still find leaders at the lowest levels, and they're not in charge of anything. And a lot of times I'll ask people, I say, well, what is it that makes somebody such a good leader then? And they list all the stuff we already know. They're good communicators, great listeners, they're accountable, they're credible, they're motivating, they're honest, they have integrity, all that great stuff. None of that is exclusive to being the boss or to holding a certain rank or a specific colored of helmet. It's not like, Ron, well, now you got promoted. Now you have people under you. Now we need you to be empathetic. Now we need you to be a good listener. Like, those are skills and behaviors that I firmly believe, regardless of what your position or title is, everybody can embrace and develop with the right skills and experience.
No, yeah, I agree with that. And I think the correlation between the military and the construction industry, I'm a huge component of making that transition, because there's a lot of the stuff that we lack when we get out that construction can feel, like that structure. There's so many correlations. And I think, or I know, is that leadership that you learn in the military is one of the biggest assets that you can bring to construction. Just that natural, like you said, you don't have to be the boss to be a great leader. And I think people lose sight of that, especially in construction, because the lower tier you always hear is, well, when I get an opportunity, or become the leader, or become that whatever. And that's not necessarily the case in construction. You can lead, and that can be the catalyst for everywhere you go in your construction career.
Yeah, absolutely. In the Army, we define a leader as somebody who does two things really well. They inspire others, they influence outcomes. It's not about being the boss. And, when I think about construction sites and projects, and the many that I've been fortunate to visit, is you've got a lot of different companies represented out there. You've got a lot of different subs doing different work. And sometimes, guess what? We have to work together. And it doesn't matter if you're the boss, we can still be able to lead through influence and possess those good skills and behaviors, to complete the project, complete the mission.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so here, I got a good one for you, because I know this comes up and it correlates right with the military. Is like you said, the different ranks, the different bosses, the different hats, and that feeling that that person's just there because they put in their time. And that happens in the military as well, where you feel like, oh, well, they're in that leadership role because they've been in for 8, 12 years. Not that they have become that leader. I mean, I think that's a bullshit thing to have to be bitching about, but this happens. It happens on job sites. Like, people are like, that guy's only a superintendent because he's been around for 20 years. But you could easily come up and take that guy's job really quickly. What's your leadership advice to the guys that are stuck in that mindset,
Yeah,
where
well,
it's
first of
like,
all, the military is not immune to bad leadership. You and I certainly know that from our experiences. Um, Again, when we think of positions, I think of those. I left the military, I left the Army as a squad leader. That's a position of authority, even though it's got leader in it. That's a position of authority. And when we lead through our title or our position, usually you get compliance and you get the bare minimum. But what a real true leader gets is they get that discretionary effort. The effort people are going to give not because they have to, but because they want to, because they want to follow you. They're not just going to do what you tell them to do, because it's sort of that command and control environment, but it's because you're able to influence them. And when I think of, especially our younger generation, when we might see some people that are in these positions and we kind of question things, is one, we need to step back and understand maybe we have our own bias. I can tell you right now, I left the military and I thought I was the best leader out there. I could be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company tomorrow, and I'd have that thing running like a well-oiled machine. So one, I think just check your own bias, right? We need to have self-awareness around not only what our strengths are, but also our challenges, weaknesses, and limitations, and understand that we've all got opportunities to grow and develop. I've never gone into an organization where somebody said, nope, I'm the perfect leader. I'm good to go, right? Leadership is a journey. It's not a destination. It's not
Mm.
like you attend some type of workshop or whatever and you get blessed off and, well, Ron, now you're good to go. Right? It's a continuing thing. We're continuing to grow and develop. We've all got things that we can do a little bit differently in life. And so I think one of it is uncovering what those ideas are. And then when I think about younger people that do want to move up, understanding what that career progression might look like. Hey, it's not always climbing the career ladder. It might be that jungle gym where maybe you got to make a lateral move to the right, go to the left, maybe you go down a rung so you can get up higher. You never know. It's not always going to be that straight vertical up and down.
Yeah, oh, and that's 100% true in construction. Like if however you're trying to make that trajectory, to be able to just build those skill sets in different areas. But I want to jump back to something that you said about the role and the authority and just like I think that's something people don't think about enough, especially when you get promoted. Like how are you going to be in this role? Are you just going to use it as pure authority? Like now I'm here, and I think we see this too much in construction, where like it's the now I'm here, now I can flex.
Right.
And it's like you said, it's not leadership, it's just authority. And that continues over time without anybody ever focusing on developing that leadership. And like leadership is a journey. It's an amazing journey. When you let it be a journey, it's amazing because you uncover so much about yourself all the time. And it's something that you can infinitely be getting better at every day.
Right.
I love that about it. But I was going somewhere with that.
Well,
I
I'd like to say, Ron, I think you're absolutely right. And one of the things that I specialize in that I'm very fortunate to do is working with sort of those high potentials that are ready to take that next step in their career, yet may not have all of the skills or training to be able to do so. They're kind of thrown, into the fire and it's like, hey, good luck. I do think the best way that we learn and develop as leaders is by doing the thing, but also it's important to be able to equip people and set them up for success. And I look at my time when I got promoted to the rank of sergeant in the Army, I had some pretty huge blind spots. I thought I had to know everything. And to make up for that, because I obviously did not know everything, I sort of put on this big facade and I was just a big burly guy. I'd yell at you and I'd intimidate you so you didn't see through me. I try to sort of compensate for that. But thankfully, myself, I did have some great leaders that saw through that and like, look, you don't have to know everything. It's okay. They sort of saw through that facade I was putting on and let me know that as leaders, again, it's the journey. We're continuing to learn and develop it. And it's not being able to lead through position or authority, because that's not what we want. Even though the military at times it's very much command and control environment, and rightfully so. We still can be able to lead through those good leadership skills and behaviors.
Yeah, and that's amazing. Me and my wife just had a conversation about this a couple weeks ago. And because I was talking about my transition and like what that's like. And when you run into guys that just got out, and I just now put this together with guys that have just been promoted as well in construction, is there's this intensity in this that is felt that it's needed. And it's because there's so much unknown, and all you know is to lean into that, especially when you've been in the military. Like that is like how you just get through. It's just pure confidence, loud, and like that's just how but that's how it happens when people get promoted as well, because that stuff can fly. It flies in construction. Like it's allowed, but what's driving that is just a lack of understanding, or in just like in the lack of the unknown. Like when you're transitioning, we find a lot of veterans in this space where they're like way over the top with everything because that's all they know. It's like, if I am like the alpha in this situation, that is how I was able to survive before. I'm going to do that now in my civilian life. But you don't have to, like, even though it's unknown, you don't have to be that way. But in construction, like that works. And even if people don't have a past military career, they watch that is like as you put these hats on in your career, what you see is that person, they just become loud. They become that driving force, that authoritarian figure that isn't necessarily leading, but all this is just, it's because it's so much unknown. They don't know. And all they know is to try to be this overarching voice that people don't want to have confrontation with.
Right, absolutely. I don't think I'm breaking any news here, but a lot of people in the construction industry, you're not the most approachable people in the world sometimes, right? Again, I'm not breaking news to anybody. We know that. I'm not saying you got to be smiling and pooping rainbows all day either, but we need to be able to be approachable for people to come to us. One thing that I found, again, from my own experiences, especially when we look intimidating, when we sort of breed that culture of fear, especially from a safety standpoint, bad things can happen. And that's one of the things that I'm extremely passionate about is the safety side of things. Because look, I'm not an OSHA type safety person. I can't talk to you about working at heights, lockout, tag out. I don't know any of that kind of stuff. I look at it from that leadership standpoint. And I know that the research clearly shows 99.1% of all safety incidents are completely preventable, save that lone act of God that's out of our control. And oftentimes I'll ask people, I'll say, well, why do safety incidents happen? And they say complacency, shortcuts, distractions, fatigue, pressure, fear, that legacy mindset. And then I'll say, well, raise your hand if you've ever been guilty of one of those reasons when it comes to something safety wise. And everybody's hand goes up, right? We've all taken the shortcut at least once. We've all been complacent at least, but we've been lucky. But when it comes to safety, you don't want to rely on luck as a strategy because eventually that luck will run out. And I personally, I found out that way during my time in the military. So June 8th, 2005, it's on my second deployment, my first one to Afghanistan. We're getting resupplied to some ammunition by a Chinook helicopter, one of those big double rotor blades, something we basically did every single week. Right before we drove out to the landing zone to unload the helicopter, my soldier Emmanuel Hernandez hopped in the back of it. And I turned around and I was going to chew into his butt, right? I was going to lead through sort of that fear-driven mentality. But then I thought, you know what? I value that kind of work ethic in my soldiers. This kid, he wants to volunteer, come with some heavy boxes, dude. Let's do it. So I didn't say anything, but as I was turning back around, I noticed he didn't have his helmet on. And so I literally opened my mouth to really yell at him. I realized I didn't have mine on either. It's obviously kind of hard for me to say something if I'm not doing the right thing. I didn't say anything. Helicopter landed, a group of 10 of us up to the side of the aircraft so they take the machine gun off the back ramp and could start unloading it. 107 millimeter rocket literally lands right next to us. 2 soldiers were killed. 8 of us were wounded. My wounds were extremely minor compared to everybody else. Peppered in the back some shrapnel. Emmanuel took shrapnel through his head and died. He died because I wasn't doing the right thing. Because I didn't have the courage to be able to lead through influence, to do the right thing myself, to be able to speak up and to say something. Of course, there's been so many days since then where I thought, wait, how simple it would have been if I would have just said, guys, wait, let's go get the helmets. Nothing would have been delayed. I mean, just that morning at breakfast, Emmanuel was just telling another soldier how he can't wait to get home and start having kids. If only I would have said something, right? And I think about that on construction sites and the opportunities that we have to be able to speak up and to say something and to do it in a way where, part of my language, we don't want to be a dick about it, right? And I think that was one of the things that held me back. And it's like, you don't have to be like that to be able to speak up. There's different ways that you can still be able to influence and inspire others. And one of the ways is we mirror the behavior of others around us, for better or for worse. If I'm not wearing my helmet, how can I expect him? The good news is it works for good stuff as well, right? If we're exhibiting good leadership skills or behaviors, others will see that. Anybody that has children will tell you that as well. We mirror the behavior of others around us.
Yeah, and that's amazing is right before you said that, I was in my mind going through like how many times have I not just been part of the shortcut, done the short, but trained the shortcut. Like that's a common thing is this is how we do it because this is how we can meet the timelines, or this is what it takes to get the job done. And nobody, yeah, no one says anything.
Yeah.
And like you said, you're just rolling the dice.
You absolutely are. And I'm all about, I'm so passionate about safety. I tell people, I'll say, who here has ever bought a lottery ticket? Powerball, Mega Millions? 99% of people raise their hands. I say, look, you bought that ticket knowing the chances of you winning the jackpot are what? Slim to none and slim left out. Astronomical. But you've got this tiny sliver of belief that maybe, just maybe, it might be you. And I say, look, if we have that attitude towards winning the lottery, you better have that same attitude towards safety at work, because the chances of you getting hurt at work are a heck of a lot higher than you winning the lottery. You might have some lucky days, but you may not have a lucky career. And, I fortunately I had some great examples in the military of, that really kind of helped show me the ideas of right from wrong, especially after that big failure of mine, because, I beat myself up for a long time after that incident. I tried to drink my problems away, tried to wash them away with pills. I was addicted to Vicodin and morphine for 5 years. It's a miracle I survived that. We know the epidemic that's going on in the construction industry as it relates to opioid addiction and as it relates to mental health struggles and suicide.
Mm.
But thankfully, again, I've learned I can take that story, I can inspire others in it, and I can influence the future and do something about it. Again, I'm a little bit of a leadership geek. I look at the stats, data, and research, and I tell people, look, the research clearly shows the more that you know somebody, the more likely you are to watch out for them, have their back, and to make sure that they're safe. And, I tell this in front of big, strong alpha men, construction guys all the time. There's value in getting to know each other at work. I'm not telling you got to be best friends and have sleepovers on the weekends, but there's value in developing these relationships with each other so that we can feel more comfortable in speaking up.
Yeah, in the construction industry, it happens quickly, building these relationships if you let it, because it's just like in the military, you're doing hard shit together every day.
Mm-hmm.
It creates a bond. But why do you think? Because we speak honestly on Construction Champions podcast about what's like issues and stuff. I have no problem saying this is a problem, because that's the only way we ever start to become the champions we're meant to be, change the mindset around the construction industry. And I've been part of it. Is why is and the best way to frame this question is like, why is there kind of a sidestep neglect for safety in construction? Like, it literally, we understand what we should be doing, how it should be done. There's rules and regulations around it, but we still as an industry consistently, and the stats show this, because there's still a lot of safety, there's a lot of problems that happen because of safety. We sidestep them, or we come up with a shortcut.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is that, do you think? What
Yeah, I think
what
there's
do we have to change?
a lot of contributing factors, and the number one thing is it's that legacy mindset. Well, this is the way we've always done it. This is how things have always been done around here. And a lot of people that are in the construction industry, a lot of our older generation, they broke out in this industry in what I call the shit and get days. There wasn't much of a safety culture, right? You got out there and we were wearing shorts and flip flops and get the damn thing done. We don't worry about stopping the job and see something, say something, and all this kind of stuff. We just got out there and we did the work and we got it done, and then we moved on to the next project. Again, I think there's certainly been a lot of great resources that have come around, but like you said, Ron, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, and it's having champions out on these projects and these organizations that are willing to speak up and say, hey, that's not right how we're doing things. We need to look at this.
I agree, man. I absolutely agree. It's been an awesome conversation today. I love this. I always love when it just aligns and I get to talk to somebody that's from the military that's now in construction, and I just love it. I love this. So for all the champions out there that are listening, if they wanted to connect with you, learn more about what you're doing, or just have a conversation, what's the best ways for them to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I've really enjoyed this conversation and I appreciate it, Ron. My website is loyaltypointleadership.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Got my first book coming out. It comes out July 9th. You can pre-order now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's called Frontline Leadership: How to Eliminate Complacency, Create All-In Engagement. You just literally go type that in the search bar, you'll find it. Really excited. It's got all my stories plus a ton more that people have never even heard before. Just bringing some real practical guidance and development to people.
Awesome. And this episode will come out right after that. So anybody listening, I will have the link in the show notes so you don't even have to type it out. We'll make it super easy for you.
Appreciate that. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you. Oh, thank you for taking the time to be on the show today.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.
All right, construction champions. Another fantastic episode where we dove into leadership, safety, the backbone of a job site, really, not just your company. It's as you build your company, like this is the stuff that needs to be known. Like as we grow companies, what you do out in the field is only going to get worse. Like, let's be honest about it. Like, it's really hard to maintain what you're going to do as the business owner, the company owner. To find people that are going to do it as good or better than you is going to be really, really hard. But if you're not willing to do it to the absolute 10th degree on how it should be done, how do you expect anybody else out there? If you have a standard and you're the one showing up to the job site not abiding by it, I don't even have to ask the question, what do you think's happening when you're not around? Like, it's going even lower than what, if you're supposed to wear pants and a polo and you show up in a polo and shorts, I guarantee you guys are in t-shirts and flip-flops on your job sites when you're not there. It doesn't, like when leaders are leading, everybody rises. But when you're that authoritative figure, you don't even abide by your own regulations. Everything will play down past what you are. When you're being a great leader, you can get that momentum where people will rise up and have that belief because they see you have that belief as the owner of the business. But if you can't have that, if you don't hold yourself accountable to that, your company is not going to it's not like a miracle is not going to happen. Like Patrick at one point in time said, like, it's not just something where you show up and boom, boom, bada bang, you're blessed into this great leader, where you don't just get blessed into having a great company. When you look at these companies that are out there and you show up at these job sites and you're like, damn, like this is amazing. I guarantee you, if you go look at the leaders in that organization and that owner of that company, their adherence to the guidelines and how they believe this company, it's above reproach. That's why everything ends up how it is. So everybody listening out there, go check out Patrick's new book. Check out what he's got going on. I think he's going to do amazing things here in the construction industry and help change some of these legacy things that have been going on for all too long. Make sure you go out, check out all of our great sponsors, and be the champion you were meant to be.
Introducing BuilderComms, the future of construction management. Built by industry veterans, our platform simplifies your workflows and boosts efficiency. From field operations to leadership, we've covered it all to help you sleep better and enhance your projects. With BuilderComms, expect reduced errors, save time, and exceptional outcomes. Join the thousands of builders and contractors revolutionizing their processes and achieving greatness. Discover more about us at buildercomms.com.